Every winter, millions of people walk into a pharmacy and spend $10 to $15 on a bottle of cough syrup. They take it home, they measure out a capful, they swallow it, and they wait for it to work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it takes the edge off, and sometimes, honestly, it does not do very much at all. Here is something the pharmaceutical industry would rather you not know. The active ingredient in most over-the-counter cough syrups, dextromethorphan, has been the subject of numerous studies questioning its effectiveness. A comprehensive review published in the British Journal of General Practice examined the evidence for common cold remedies and found that most over-the-counter cough medications showed little to no benefit over placebo in controlled trials. The World Health Organization does not recommend dextromethorphan for children under 12. Your grandmother never bought a bottle of cough syrup in her life, not because she could not afford it, because she had something that worked better, something she made herself in her kitchen in about 5 minutes, something that cost almost nothing, and something that, when you understand the science behind it, makes complete sense. Today I'm going to show you exactly what your grandmother made, every single remedy she reached for when a cough settled in, and the gentle science behind why each one of them worked. And at the end, I am going to show you her most powerful remedy of all, the one she made for the worst coughs, the one she swore by for her entire life. Let's begin. Your grandmother's foundation remedy. Before anything else, this is the base that underlies almost every cough remedy your grandmother ever made. 2 tablespoons of raw honey, the juice of half a fresh lemon, a cup of warm water or herbal tea. Stir until the honey dissolves. Sip slowly. This is not a folk remedy. This is one of the most clinically validated cough remedies that exists. The honey coats the throat, forming a protective layer over the irritated mucous membranes. This coating physically suppresses the cough reflex by reducing the direct irritation that triggers it. The lemon juice provides vitamin C, which supports immune function, and its acidity helps thin mucus, making it easier to clear from the airways. The warmth of the liquid soothes inflamed tissue and helps open the airways. A 2007 study published in the Archives of Pediatrics and Adolescent Medicine compared honey directly against dextromethorphan, the active ingredient in most commercial cough syrups. Honey won on every measure: better cough suppression, better sleep quality, better reduction in symptom severity. Your grandmother made this for every cold, every cough, every scratchy throat that walked through her door. She made it for her children. She made it for her grandchildren. She made it for herself. And it worked every single time for deep chest congestion. When the cough settled into the chest, when it became productive and heavy and tiring, your grandmother reached for ginger. Take a 2-inch piece of fresh ginger root, slice it thinly, simmer it in 2 cups of water for 15 minutes. Let it steep for another 10 minutes after removing it from the heat. Strain. Add 1 tablespoon of raw honey. Add a pinch of black pepper, which activates certain compounds in the ginger and significantly improves their bioavailability. Sip slowly while it is warm. Ginger contains gingerols and shogaols, compounds with potent anti-inflammatory and antispasmodic properties. They relax the bronchial tubes. They reduce the inflammatory swelling that makes the cough feel tight and unproductive. They thin the mucus that is sitting in the chest and need to come out. The black pepper contains piperine, which increases the absorption of ginger's active compounds by up to 20%. Your grandmother did not know any of this. She knew that ginger tea with honey and black pepper loosened a chest cough in a way that nothing else did. She knew it from experience, and she was right, the one that surprises everyone. This is the one that makes people hesitant the first time they hear it. Onion syrup, it sounds wrong. It sounds like something a grandmother made because she had nothing else. Here is what actually happens when you make it. Take 1 large onion, slice it thinly, layer the slices in a jar or bowl. Cover each layer generously with raw honey. Close the jar or cover the bowl. Leave it overnight or for at least 4 hours. By morning, the onion has released its juices and the honey has drawn them out. What you have is a thin, mildly sweet syrup that smells far more pleasant than you might expect. Take 1 teaspoon every 3 to 4 hours. Here is the science. Onions contain quercetin, one of the most potent natural antihistamines and anti-inflammatory compounds known to food science. They contain compounds that actively thin mucus, making it easier to expel from the airways. They contain N-acetylcysteine precursors, compounds that the body converts to a molecule used in hospitals as a mucolytic agent to break up thick mucus in respiratory conditions. Raw honey brings its own cough-suppressing, antimicrobial, and anti-inflammatory properties. Together, this syrup addresses the cough from multiple directions simultaneously. Your grandmother made this for the worst coughs, the ones that had settled in for days, the ones that kept people up at night, and it worked. The remedy with the most clinical evidence. If you had to choose one cough remedy that has the most rigorous clinical support, it would be thyme. Your grandmother kept dried thyme in her kitchen. She used it in cooking. She also used it in medicine. A study published in Arzneimittelforschung, one of Germany's leading pharmaceutical research journals, compared a thyme-based cough remedy directly against a leading commercial expectorant. The thyme remedy produced equivalent or superior results, fewer side effects, faster recovery. Here is how your grandmother made thyme tea. Take 2 tablespoons of fresh thyme leaves or 1 tablespoon of dried thyme. Pour 1 cup of just boiled water over them. Cover the cup or pot. Steep for 10 minutes. The cover is important because it keeps the volatile oils that contain thyme's active compounds from escaping with the steam. Strain. Add honey to taste. Sip slowly. The carvacrol and thymol in thyme have direct antimicrobial properties, acting on the bacteria and viruses causing the respiratory infection. They relax the smooth muscle of the bronchial tubes, reducing the bronchospasm that causes the persistent hacking cough. They thin and loosen mucus, helping the productive cough do its job efficiently. Your grandmother drank thyme tea throughout any chest illness. She grew thyme in her garden specifically so it would always be available. She called it her breathing herb. She was right about everything, opening the airways directly. Your grandmother had a ritual for severe congestion and a cough that would not budge. She boiled a pot of water. She added several drops of eucalyptus oil or a handful of dried eucalyptus leaves if she had them. She placed the pot on the table. She draped a large towel over her head and the pot. She leaned over the steam and breathed deeply for 5 to 10 minutes. Then she drank honey and lemon tea. Then she rested. The active compound in eucalyptus, cineole, has been shown in clinical studies to act as a mucolytic and bronchodilator. It physically opens the airways. It breaks up mucus. It reduces bronchial inflammation. A 2003 study published in Respiratory Medicine found that cineole significantly reduced the frequency and severity of coughing attacks in patients with chronic bronchitis. Your grandmother used this remedy without the clinical study to validate it. She had the experience of generations instead, and the experience of generations was correct for evening relief and immune support. In the evening, when the cough was at its worst and sleep felt impossible, your grandmother made what some cultures call golden milk. Warm a cup of milk, dairy, or any plant milk over gentle heat. Add half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, a pinch of black pepper, which increases turmeric's bioavailability by 2,000% through piperine, a teaspoon of raw honey, a small pinch of ginger powder. Stir until everything is dissolved and the milk is a warm golden color. Drink it slowly before bed. Turmeric contains curcumin, one of the most studied anti-inflammatory compounds in natural medicine. It reduces the inflammatory response in the airways that makes nighttime coughing so severe. It supports immune function against the underlying infection. The warm milk itself has a soporific effect, making sleep more accessible even when a cough is present. Your grandmother made this for the sick. She made it for the exhausted. She made it for the people she loved most who needed to rest and could not. They slept. We are halfway through, and before I continue, I want to say something important. Your grandmother was not anti-medicine. She knew exactly when to call the doctor. Fevers that persisted beyond 3 days, coughs that produced blood or green mucus, breathing difficulty in children, anyone who seemed to be getting significantly worse rather than better. These were things she took seriously. She was wise, not reckless. The remedies we are talking about today are for the ordinary coughs and chest colds of ordinary life. The ones that are uncomfortable and exhausting and that most people manage with over-the-counter products that, as the research suggests, often do not perform meaningfully better than a warm drink and rest. Your grandmother just made better warm drinks, and she knew that rest and care were as important as any remedy. Stick with me, because the final remedies are the ones she considered most powerful. And the last one is what she made for the worst of the worst, her most powerful antimicrobial remedy, when the cough was accompanied by the feeling that something more serious was taking hold, when the chest felt heavy, the throat felt infected, the body felt like it was fighting hard. Your grandmother made this. Crush 4 to 6 cloves of raw garlic. Let the crushed garlic sit on the cutting board for 10 minutes. This resting period is essential. It allows the enzyme allinase to convert the alliin in the garlic into allicin, the primary antimicrobial compound. If you heat garlic before this conversion completes, the enzyme is destroyed and the allicin never forms properly. 10 minutes rest after crushing. Then mix the crushed garlic with 2 tablespoons of raw honey. Take 1 teaspoon of this mixture every 3 to 4 hours. The allicin in garlic has demonstrated antimicrobial activity against a broad spectrum of bacteria and viruses, including influenza. Combined with honey's own antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and cough-suppressing properties, this preparation targets the infection from 2 directions simultaneously. It is not pleasant. Your grandmother did not pretend it was. She said, "Take it and get better." And people took it, and they got better. For viral infections and immune support, if your grandmother grew elderberries or had access to them, she made syrup every autumn. She kept it through the winter, and she gave it to everyone at the first sign of illness. Elderberry contains anthocyanins, compounds with significant antiviral properties, particularly against influenza viruses. A double-blind, placebo-controlled study published in the Journal of International Medical Research found that elderberry extract reduced the duration of influenza by an average of 4 days compared to placebo. Commercial elderberry syrup costs $15 to $25 per bottle. Your grandmother made it from a pound of dried elderberries, available at health food stores, simmered in water with honey, cinnamon, and cloves. The cost of making it yourself is a fraction of buying it ready-made. If you have a cough that is accompanied by the aches, fever, and exhaustion of influenza, elderberry syrup, alongside rest and fluids, is one of the most evidence-supported natural interventions available. Your grandmother knew this. Every year without fail, she made her elderberry syrup. Every year without fail, her household recovered faster than most. The herb most people have never heard of. This is the remedy that most surprises people when they first hear it. Mullein. Most people have never encountered this plant. Your grandmother may have grown it in her garden. She may have dried the leaves and kept them in a tin. She used it specifically for coughs that involved the lungs, for what she called a deep cough. Mullein leaves contain saponins, compounds that directly stimulate the loosening and expulsion of mucus from the bronchial tubes. They have demulcent properties, soothing the inflamed lining of the respiratory tract, and they have mild expectorant properties that help the body clear what needs to be cleared. Make mullein tea the same way you would any herbal tea. 1 tablespoon of dried mullein leaf in a cup of just boiled water. Steep for 15 minutes. Strain carefully through a fine cloth. Mullein's tiny hairs can irritate the throat if not strained properly. Add honey. Drink 2 to 3 cups per day during a chest illness. Your grandmother used this for the coughs that settled deep, the ones that made the chest hurt, the ones that lasted. She trusted it completely, and it worked in ways that most people today would not expect from a garden plant. Simple, ancient, effective. Your grandmother had no patience for unnecessary complexity. When a cough began with a sore, irritated throat, she did this first. Half a teaspoon of salt dissolved in a glass of warm water. Gargle for 30 seconds. Spit. Repeat twice. Do this 3 to 4 times daily. The salt solution draws moisture out of the swollen, inflamed tissues of the throat through osmosis. Reduced swelling means less irritation. Less irritation means less coughing. The salt also kills the surface bacteria and viruses on the throat lining, reducing their ability to multiply and deepen the infection. A 2005 study in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine found that regular saltwater gargling reduced the incidence of upper respiratory infections by 40%. 40% from salt and water. Your grandmother gargled with salt water every time she felt the slightest tickle in her throat. She started before the cough could take hold. Because she understood, as all wise people understand, that prevention used consistently is always more powerful than treatment applied after the fact, for the head and chest together. When the cough came with sinus congestion, when it started high in the head and chest together, your grandmother made a steam bowl with herbs that addressed both at once. Boil water, pour into a wide bowl, add a handful of dried peppermint leaves or several drops of peppermint oil. Add dried chamomile if available for its anti-inflammatory properties. Drape a towel over your head in the bowl. Breathe deeply for 5 to 10 minutes. The menthol in peppermint is a natural decongestant. It activates cold receptors in the nasal passages that create the sensation of open, clear airways. The steam loosens congestion throughout the sinuses and upper airways. The chamomile reduces inflammation in the nasal and bronchial linings. Your grandmother followed this with a cup of honey and lemon tea. Then she made whoever she was caring for lie down and rest. She understood that the remedies were only half of what healed. The other half was rest. She never let anyone rush getting better. She said, "Your body knows how to heal if you give it what it needs and get out of its way." She was right. And the final remedy, the one she made for the worst coughs, the one she swore by for her entire life, her grandmother's cough syrup. This is not a single ingredient remedy. It is a preparation that combines everything your grandmother knew about respiratory illness into one bottle. Here is how to make it. In a small pot, combine 1 cup of raw honey with the juice of 2 lemons and the zest of 1 lemon. Add 1 tablespoon of freshly grated ginger root, 4 crushed cloves of garlic, rested for 10 minutes before crushing, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme or a tablespoon of fresh, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, a pinch of cayenne pepper. Warm everything together over the lowest possible heat for 20 minutes. Do not boil. Heat destroys the enzymes in the honey and the allicin in the garlic. Warm only. Strain through a fine mesh strainer or cheesecloth. Pour into a clean glass jar. Store in the refrigerator. Take 1 tablespoon every 3 to 4 hours during illness. 1 tablespoon before bed. Here is what this preparation does. The honey coats and soothes the throat. The lemon provides vitamin C and thins mucus. The ginger reduces bronchial spasm and inflammation. The garlic acts on the underlying infection directly. The thyme relaxes the airways and loosens mucus. The cinnamon has antimicrobial properties and warms the body. The cayenne, at this trace amount, acts as a circulatory stimulant that drives everything deeper into the tissues. Together, this preparation addresses a cough from every angle simultaneously. It does not suppress the cough artificially the way dextromethorphan does. It resolves the conditions that are causing it. The cough becomes productive, which means it is doing its job and then it stops, because the underlying infection has been addressed, because the inflammation has been reduced, because the airways have cleared. Your grandmother made a batch of this at the first sign of a serious respiratory illness. She kept it in the refrigerator. She took it faithfully, and she got better. Not slowly, not partially. She got better. This is her recipe. It belongs to you now. 10 remedies, all of them from your grandmother's kitchen, all of them made from things that cost almost nothing, all of them backed, in their own way, by the science that has caught up to what your grandmother already knew. This winter, before you reach for that bottle of cough syrup, try one of these first. Make the honey and lemon. Make the ginger tea. If you are feeling brave, make the onion syrup. And if the cough is serious, make her syrup. Take it faithfully, rest properly, and let your body do what it was designed to do. Which remedy are you going to try first? Tell me in the comments. And if your grandmother had a cough remedy that I did not cover today, please share it. The knowledge in the comments of this community is extraordinary. There are grandmother's remedies in there that I have never encountered anywhere else. If this video helped you, please share it with someone who needs it this winter. Not just subscribe, share. Because the people who are standing in the pharmacy aisle right now reaching for the cough syrup, they deserve to know what your grandmother knew. I will see you in the next one.